Continuing on with my rewrite of Dark to the Moon, this is Transformers, Terror from the Deep, Part 2. We pick up with base Metroplex completely demolished. Bumblebee lifts out from the rubble of all the humans. All the Autobots regroup and look over to Terra. And the two elite guards, Springer and Cup, are still around. Most of the Autobots immediately intimidate this small old man. Cup admits that he knew about the plan, but he didn't know it was going to be this devastating. In him interacting with all of Optimus' team, he realized that it was wrong and tried to alert Optimus before it was too late. And Springer didn't even know about the plan. Bumblebee tries breaking up everyone from just mauling the two, but no one listens until Optimus yells enough. He's willing to believe Springer and Cup because at this moment they need more allies than ever, and they didn't participate in the attack, so they must be telling the truth. Later, they gather up the rusty ashes that remain of Ironhide and give a little eulogy. Then we cut to the Atlantis fully unmerged from the ocean, as the Nemesis 2 and the Elite Guard ship dock in it, proving how humongous the ship is. Soundwave uses its communication system to hack into the satellites of Earth, and Magnus broadcasts a message.
Greetings, programs. This is General Tesla.
That can't be
Good.
In the name of our great leader, Clue, I now claim Oregon City as occupied territory.
Out from the bunker, directing mirroring steps, calling the president about this, and he agreed to send a gigantic NATO nest fleet to deal with him. It goes about as well as you expect, even with the Navy upgraded with Cybertronian tech. This is also broadcasted by Decepticons. Magnus says their rule is absolute, and all traitorous Autobots have to be exiled from the planet within 1 week to ensure the world's peace under the Decepticons' watch. Marin informs the Autobots there's really not much they can do. They can keep throwing people at it, but it seems to be indestructible. And we just got off the phone with the president, and Nest is hereby disbanded. A lot of the Autobots protest, but Optimus looks over a camera showing the security footage of Magnus with Ironhide, and Optimus says that he takes full responsibility for Magnus' actions because he was the one who sent him down this path. So they're going to leave. 5 days later, they put together a ship and they're about to leave. Spike has an emotional goodbye with Bee, saying he doesn't know how he'll live without the Autobots. They changed him so much, and he's just not strong enough to deal with everything. B says they'll miss Spike too, wherever the Autobots end up. And Optimus replies,
Remember this. You may lose your faith in us, but never in yourselves.
The ship launches, but then the Atlantis shoots it down. All the humans are horrified, and Chip says Simmons' line of years from now, they'll ask you where you were when they took over. Spike tries calling his parents, but there's no response. And later, Spike says he has an idea. He calls up his old college roommate, Leo, asking, does your crazy second uncle still work at the deli? They meet up, and that crazy second uncle is Simmons from the first film. And we roughly get the same scene from Revenge of the Fallen. A little more significant here since we haven't seen him since the first film. And of course, a little rework to fit into the series. But still, Simmons is mad at Spike for taking away Sector 7, making him now work at Deli, but Spike needs his help, and it relates to the Transformers, and he takes him to the secret room. And in the secret room, there's his assistant Dutch and Senor Chain. He recognizes Spike and is like, ha, told you so. It all went down at Autobot City, but no one ever listens to me. Spike tells him to shut up. He explains that Ness has been disbanded, and Simmons is probably the only one crazy enough to help him fight the Decepticons. And Simmons is like, you think I'm really gonna risk my life to fight some giant robots? Well, you're goddamn right. And after 2 weeks of recruiting more people and trying to figure out a plan, Archivald joins the group and tells them that a space bridge is being built in Chicago, and the Decepticons are using it as a way to teleport humans to enslave them on Cybertron. Chip realizes that means the Atlantis might be near Chicago then. So the plan is they're going to destroy the space bridge, try and liberate Chicago, something, profit. Simmons thinks it's kind of dumb, but with no better plan, they grab their guys. Iridescence by Linkin Park plays as they head to Chicago, which is being torn up by Decepticons. Humans are being gathered and equipped with oxygen tank things, which break down questions, but Shockwave says, well, this is because the last group they sent to Cybertron didn't survive. And Megatron's there and he's been upgraded, but he still can't shake all those flowers caused by him. The humans make it to Chicago and they're like, alright man, this is what we planned for. Then they get immediately spotted by a Viacon, and even with their Cybertronian weapons, it takes a lot of hits before it gets downed. And then another one appears and they start freaking out, but then it mysteriously gets shot, and then from the back, Optimus appears. Spike is confused. Optimus says it was all just a trick to psych out the Decepticons to think they were all dead. No one was on the spaceship. And then the ground bridge starts test firing, and they come up with a new plan. The humans are going to continue their plan and try to liberate the space bridge, now with the Autobots' help, and Wheeljack states that a group of them are going to try and get into the Atlantis somehow, which Chip comedically says, why didn't we think of that? And Sideswipe states, well, because you're not as smart as Jackie. Prime combines with Jetfire and goes off, and there's a lot of fighting, and the humans are right behind them. Jetfire and Optimus decide to try and lead the Jet Viacons away from the humans. Shockwave realizes what's going on and tells Breakdown and the Viacons to continue their work as he ground bridges back onto the Atlantis. Breakdown says he'll alert the others and drives away and leaves the Viacons to be blown apart by the humans. The humans make it into the ground bridge and start questioning, alright, how we turn this off? And Arkville says, you don't, you get in it. And he transforms his mechanical hand into a blaster and points it at them. And Spike's like, what the hell? And Arkville says, look, the Cybertronians are our mechanical gods. We owe it to them to save their planet. They're far more advanced than we were ever before their arrival. So we owe it to them to be their slaves. This is why I helped Laserbeak hacking Metroplex's security and send all the power to the Atlantis. And Ken John pulls some pistols out of his pants and says, think again, mechanical Uncle Tom. And then Dutch starts freaking out and starts pointing a gun at both of them. And Arkville is like, we got a little Mexican standoff. And Ken John's like, what, just because I speak Spanish you think I'm Filipino? Spike tries getting closer to the control panel, but then Arkville pulls out another gun. Back with the Autobots, Brawn gets taken out. Then Cup and Sideswipe end up capturing a Viacon ship and actually docking with the Atlantis. But then Sideswipe takes the wheels from Cup and purposely starts crashing and blasting the hangar. And over comms, he purposely does a fake robot accent and says, hello Viacons, my ship is haywired, I need assistance. A lot of the Viacons actually believe him and go to the hangar to help him, just for Sideswipe and Cup to sneak off and the ship explodes. And Cup says he can't believe that actually worked. Ratchet sees that they made it to the Atlantis and informs everyone. Springer is flying around with Prime to try and shoot down Viacons, and he comes across the aerial bots, and there's some awkward tension. Then Slingshot says, Magnus was always a hard ass, we're joining Prime, and they transform and help out with Springer. After the humans, Spike is like, this is so stupid, as Carly yells that all the humans are safe, what to do now. Her and Laserbeak enter the room, see what's going on. Then Laserbeak attacks Singer Chain, and Carly shoves a pencil into Arkville's mechanical hand, and he starts randomly blasting everything, including accidentally Laserbeak, which causes the space bridge to start to collapse and everyone has to escape. It's kind of like in the original where the building collapsed. But then they get saved by Lennox and Nest, who show up with jets and flight suits and save everyone. Spike's confused and over comms. Mireen says this is highly illegal, but it's also the fate of the world at stake, so who cares? And also Ness hasn't actually been disbanded. Lennox, who is with Ness, and Epps, who is with Spike's group, have a friendly reunion. And like in the original, Ness is going to snipe out some of the Decepticons' eyes as the rest of the people shove bombs into their legs. Like with Springer and Cup, they try sneaking around Viacons, but they come across Warpath, who sounds the alarm that they're there. Then the Freak of Nature transforms into his tank mode and starts blasting at them. Sideswipe is very flexible and has an easy time bouncing around the attacks, but Cup is old and keeps getting almost hit. But then the two come up with a plan to use this to their advantage, as Warpath tries running over Cup, just for Sideswipe to grab him out of the way in the last second, and Warpath falls out one of the holes he caused and falls to Chicago. Magnus is angry about the alarm and sends an army of Viacons to deal with them, and wonders where Megatron is. Megatron is on the ground, just kind of sitting by himself and wondering. And Carly comes across him and wonders what he's thinking. And we sort of get a similar scene to the original, and then we get a reprise of Iridescence by Linkin Park. But basically, Carly just makes Megatron say what he feels, and Megatron feels he sees himself in Magnus, a young soldier with bright ideas, but all this is corrupting him. And it happened to Megatron as well, and he hates it. And he hates what the Decepticons have become, and he hates himself, and he rips off his logo and starts smashing it into the wall of the building he's laying against, as he continues screaming about how much he hates how his ideals were corrupted by himself and how many bots died because of them, and how much he wanted freedom for his people only became a tyrant. Starscream finds him, and he alerts Megatron that the battle's starting to turn and they need to board the Atlantis. And Megatron doesn't care. He wants all the Decepticons to disarm. And Starscream says, why? We have the Atlantis. All we need to do is regroup and blast this place into scrap.
Enough!
He takes the Autobot logo off of Brawn. Megatron has a similar scene to IDW. He explains that once this symbol was a representation of oppression, the corrupt primes and corrupt senators to force us to follow our functions, to live and die according to our class. To serve. We stood against them, and in retaliation, they twisted us to unfeeling creatures. It took me until now to realize my actions caused the destruction of many. I'm no better than bots like Zeta Prime. My life has been dedicated to fight this badge, but no more. As of today, I'm a different person. If I can change, so can you and the rest of our kind.
You've clearly been traumatized, Master. A good power down and a stroll around the smelting pit will put you back in touch with your inner warlord.
The Decepticons are no more, and that is final.
All this was broadcast over comm, and many of them agree with Megatron and continue to follow him. But a lot of them think that Megatron has gone mad. So Starscream transforms to go alert Magnus. Starscream tries to tell Magnus, but he's already heard, so he goes over comms, saying that Megatron has fallen to madness and anyone working with him shall be executed as a traitor. Then he lets loose some of Shockwave's weird experiments to attack Carly, and one of them kills Leadfoot. Spike sees this and uses some tech from Nest, shoots off a grappling hook and swings around with one's eye, and he shoves a bomb into one of them, and he leaps over, and the action scene blows both of them up and saves Carly. They both look at each other longingly. A lot of the Megatron loyalists help out the Autobots. Optimus returns to the scene of the fight. Shockwave continues to blast out Magnus's message, as Magnus says to divert all power to main cannon, and knock out here's Megatron's message and see Sideswipe and Cup moving, and then he has a cowardly lion moment and jumps out the window. Shockwave sees them and attacks, kind of similar to before Warpath with Shockwave being really slow, and ultimately ends with Sideswipe dropkicking Shockwave into the controls as the cannon is loading up and almost fires, and then it backfires, blowing up most of the Atlantis and causing it to crash into Chicago. Most of it was vaporized from the blast, but a lot of it did crash into the city, causing a massive dust cloud. RC sees it and yells out for Sideswipe. But luckily, Sideswipe and Cup parachuted out of the ship. Humans all gather, but then Arkeville returns, and him and Spike get into a fight. And Arkeville says, our lives are owed and dedicated to the mechanical gods. What do you think you are, some kind of hero? And Spike says, nah, I'm just a human. And he kicks him into some water, and he starts electrocuting a little from his hand, and he gets crushed by some debris. Magnus and Shockwave pull themselves out of the rubble. Jetfire Optimus takes on Magnus, similar to how he did with Sentinel in the original. As a lot of the familiar Autobots take on Shockwave, he actually does put up a decent fight, and Magnus rips Jetfire off of Optimus, causing their connection to fail and them have temporary paralysis, and Sentinel smacks him around and nearly kills Optimus. But then Megatron runs in and beats the tar out of Magnus. He actually helps Optimus up. Meanwhile, Shockwave gets knocked down by Mixmaster turning into turret mode, and a lot of the familiar Decepticons attack him. But then Megatron and Optimus yell for ceasefire. And all the characters gather around and hear the two speech, basically stating that the Transformers have been at war for millions of years, and look at what they got them. Their homes destroyed, their people can no longer produce anything but sparkless people, and now we brought destruction onto this world. The golden era of Cybertron was when the two factions worked together. We need to get back to that time period. We need to come together as one people to save this world from what happened to Cybertron. During this, Magnus escapes into the river. A lot of people are hesitant about this new union, but they're hopeful because Optimus is supporting it. Then we get a montage of an ending. Spike and Carly kiss. Chip gets Arkaville's old job. Spike reunites with his family, and they say they were stuck in France for all this time, eating nothing but snails, which look and taste like Canadian goose poop. Lennox is promoted to being Miriam's right-hand man. Simmons is given a job at Nest, and writes a best-selling book about the Battle of Chicago. Base Metroplex is repaired. Megatron looks over all the flowers planted because of him, and he's still remorseful about it, but he sees and he helps out setting up a new memorial to the people lost because of Ultra Magnus's actions. Meanwhile, Magnus and some Decepticons regroup, better than Warren, as we get Megatron giving a monologue at the end.
It's Megatron, Commander. He's defected.
I am the founder of the Decepticon movement. I started it, and I am about to finish it. I hereby renounce Decepticonism and its offshoots, and denounce all those who continue to fight in its name. There is nothing intrinsically special about our race. Nothing that lifts us above non-mechanical species. We were wrong to assert ourselves. And to all those who follow me, I say this. Do not expect guidance, or wisdom, or answers. I have none. I never did. To those Decepticons still out there, I give one final order. Stand down. Discard your weapons. Tear off your badges. And stand down. The Decepticons are over. The war is over. Free yourself from the shackles of a flawed philosophy and move on.
Keon, meet me in the fueling chamber.
Then in a post-credits scene, we see the spot where the Atlantis used to be start lighting up and screaming, setting up again the real terror from beneath. And that was my rewrite of Dark of the Moon. I hope you guys liked it. If you had any better ideas or ways to continue the series, let me know in the comments below. I just really hope you enjoyed it.